Our top focus because it is the story that has captured the national imagination. Viewers, remember what this story is about. This is the National Herald scandal. What is the National Herald scandal? The National Herald scandal, viewers, is simply, according to the Enforcement Directorate, an attempt by the Gandhi family to cheat India's freedom fighters by usurping their stakes through a special purpose vehicle formed for this deception and transfer everything on to the Gandhi family. Viewers, over the last few days, the crown jewel in this entire act, Young Indians, the company that was used as a special purpose vehicle to acquire the stakes, the stakeholdings of India's freedom fighters, is under scrutiny. In fact, in Delhi, the Young Indians office is locked up. The Gandhis own 76% of Young Indians, along with two others. Facing the probability of arrest, more raids, perhaps even on 10 Janpath, the Gandhis today suddenly emerged, appeared, descended onto the streets. When have you last seen Rahul Gandhi standing amongst a sea of Congress workers in the heart of the national capital, raising an issue of intrinsic importance to the public? When have you seen Priyanka Gandhi lying on the ground, kicking her heels, trying to ward off detention, or trying to jump or cross through a barricade, or perhaps, as this picture shows, using force to resist detention? Viewers, today suddenly the Gandhis decided that they needed to leave their gilded existence and get down into the dirt, roll up their sleeves and fight for you and I. Why? Because the Gandhis say that price rise is hurting all of us. Of course, prices are up, inflation is up, but viewers, we haven't heard them hit the streets earlier. This is not a phenomena from yesterday. The steady curve upwards in the prices of commodities has been happening for the last 5 or 6 months. But with this intent and with this venomous force, the Gandhis have not hit the streets. Even during the elections, earlier this year, viewers, the Gandhis didn't really roll up their sleeves like they did today to fight for public interest, as they've said. Viewers, not only just the public interest, they also were saying that they are fighting for the core of Indian democracy. The core of Indian democracy that was being suffocated, the soul that was being suffocated by Hitler and his Hitlerian regime that had captured all the institutions and had managed to come to power and consolidate their hold on power. Of course, he was referring, viewers, to Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Rahul Gandhi also said that one of the other reasons he's on the streets is because he hates the RSS and their mindset, and he was born to fight it. Viewers, he said that he was doing all of this even though he knew that his liberty was at risk, because anyone under the Modi government that raises the banner of revolt, dissents, is set upon. But he said he was not scared. He was ready to go to jail. He didn't mind, as long as he was doing so with a clear conscience for you and I, for the public. Viewers, listen in first to Rahul Gandhi and then to his sister Priyanka Gandhi Vadra.
How are you enjoying the onset of dictatorship in India? Are you enjoying it? लोकतंत्र की जो मौत हो रही है उसके बारे में क्या लगता है आपको? आज हिंदुस्तान में 4 लोगों की डिक्टेटरशिप है.
My job is to resist the idea of the RSS. That's my job. And I'm going to do it. The more I do it, the more I will be attacked. The harder I will be attacked. I am happy. Attack me. हाँ, हिटलर भी चुनाव जीत के आया था. हाँ, हिटलर भी चुनाव जीत जाता था. हिटलर चुनाव कैसे जीतता था? हिटलर चुनाव ऐसे जीतता था कि जर्मनी के पूरे इंस्टीट्यूशंस उसके हाथ में थे. मुझे पूरा का पूरा ढांचा दे दो, फिर मैं दिखाऊंगा आपको कैसे इलेक्शन जीता जाता है.
इनको लगता है कि जितने भी इनके विपक्ष में जो कुछ कहता है उनको ये दबा सकते हैं, और इनको ये लगता है कि दबाने के बाद ऐसे अपनी फोर्स दिखाने के बाद हम चुपचाप से समझौता करके बस में बैठ जाएंगे इनके साथ. तो क्यों करें हम तो एक मकसद से है ना यहाँ. हमारा मकसद ये है कि हम इनके मंत्री कह रहे हैं इनको महंगाई नहीं दिखती, तो हम पीएम हाउस तक चल के महंगाई दिखाना चाहते हैं. गैस का सिलेंडर दिखाना चाहते हैं जो आज कोई खरीद नहीं सकता है. इतनी महंगाई है, चाहे गरीब हो चाहे मिडिल क्लास के हो, सब तरस रहे हैं, सब तड़प रहे हैं, और कोई कुछ ना बोले. उनके लिए महंगाई तो है नहीं. उन्होंने तो पूरी देश की संपत्ति, मोदी जी ने पूरे देश की संपत्ति अपने दोस्तों को दे दी है. उन पे कभी कोई कार्रवाई नहीं है. 2-4 लोग रईस हो गए हैं, उनके महल बने हुए हैं, लेकिन जो आम जनता है वो तरस रही है, तड़प रही है. ये ठीक है क्या? उनको महंगाई इसलिए नहीं दिखती, उनके लिए है ही नहीं. उनके पास पैसा ही पैसा है, जो चाहे जब खरीदे. सब्जी खरीद सकते हैं, दाल, आटा, चावल, सरसों का तेल, सब कुछ महंगा हो गया. गैस सिलेंडर किस लिए उठा के ले जा रहे हैं हम? क्योंकि नहीं दिख रही है ना महंगाई. देखिए.
Well, viewers, 2 videos then suddenly appeared. One because Times Now spoke to one of the senior most leaders of the Congress party, also a Gandhi loyalist, and other viewers that suddenly appeared on social media. These videos, viewers, have led a large number of people around the country to question really the intent behind these protests. In one of the videos, P. Chidambaram and a group of other netas around him are grumbling about the rain, about whether it's right now to go out there. Now, viewers, a large number of people are saying when you're serving the public, you have to sacrifice a little bit. Small inconveniences like this shouldn't get in the way of such an important public issue. Many people began to wonder if these protests were orchestrated to divert attention from the impending ED raids, from the action, from the bad publicity that the Gandhis were getting. And that is perhaps the reason why not everyone felt compelled enough to go out there and fight with conviction, because it was actually a farce. I'll play out this video, and then also, viewers, we caught up with Salman Khurshid, who said, look, I'm here to fight for my netas. Forget the Aam Aadmi right now. We are fighting for our netas because they fight for us. Viewers, that has invited a lot of ridicule. The BJP, other political parties, other commentators have come out and said, see, we always told you that these protests were actually a cover to distract attention, to deflect attention, to in some ways or the other play the victim, to win over the public through this deceptive ploy of pretending to speak for the public. Listen in, viewers. First, the Chidambaram video and Chidambaram discussing the weather and whether even he should be stepping out or not, and then Salman Khurshid.
No, it's raining out to go out. That's what I'm saying. No, it's raining out to go out.
परिवार को बचाने के लिए मैं क्यों आऊंगा? मैं अपने नेता को बचाने के लिए आऊंगा। मेरा नेता मुझे बचाता है। अगर इसको वो परिवार की परिभाषा बना देते हैं तो मुझे कोई उसमें कष्ट नहीं।
Several other Congress leaders that Times Now spoke to also echoed Salman Khurshid and justified, in fact, what he said. He says, we are here to fight for our leaders. Against what, viewers? Against what? Against answering legitimate questions that are being asked by an investigative agency at the behest of a court? Let's open this up. Let's open this up. Let's get a sense of what our panel thinks of all of this. I want to begin with Tehseen Poonawala. George Kurian is also there with us, political strategist who speaks for the Congress. But Tehseen Poonawala, is the Congress eroding its credibility by defending the first family? Is there even backing for all of this? You know, this whole business of saying that we're speaking up for the public, and when you are taking upon yourself the challenge of speaking for the public, Tehseen Poonawala, why should you be afraid of a few spots of rain? जनता की सेवा करने के लिए तो थोड़ा discomfort झेलना पड़ता है. Tehseen Poonawala, you have to, you know, brave the elements a little bit. But your leaders, the senior most leaders of your party, the people who sort of ascend the topmost position of the party are being deterred by rain, saying, "Arey bhai, you know, commitment clearly lacking." Were they forcefully bussed there to do a big drama? Because that's what the BJP is saying, Tehseen Poonawala. You've heard this video yourself. Then you've heard Salman Khurshid saying, I'm only here to speak, forget the public, I'm here to speak for the parivar. They save me, they butter my bread, so why shouldn't I be here? Unko bachane ke liye main aaya hu. Tehseen Poonawala, why are you pulling this joke on the public? What's going on?
Namaskar, Rahul. Thank you so much for having me on the show. Namaskar to all my fellow panelists and to all your viewers. The big joke party, or the Bada Jhoota party, as I call the Bharatiya Janata Party, will of course come out with lies and half-baked truths. Salman Khurshid said what he said, and I'm saying this with all the authority at my command, because Srimati Priyanka Gandhi Vadra ji and Shri Rahul Gandhi ji were being dragged, were being pulled, were being taken, forcefully detained. Now, Rahul, you and I may have several differences of opinion, me and Mr. Malviya may have several differences of opinion, but when in recent history, Mr. Rahul Shivashankar, you're a journalist I admire, have you last seen Sushma Swaraji, the late Sushma Swaraji, being dragged by a hair, her hand being twisted? When have you seen Rahul Gandhi ji, Arun Jaitley ji, the late Arun Jaitley ji, being pushed the way Rahul Gandhi ji was pushed and thrown when he was on his way to Lakhimpur Kheri? That incidentally reminds me, Rahul, you in your introduction said the Gandhis were never on the street, but Times Now was live and I was with you in the studio covering Hathras, Unnao, Lakhimpur Kheri, Sonbhadra, where they were continuously detained, hit by the police, beaten up. So they have been on the streets. This was an agitation for GST, inflation, and for price rise and economy, something that the finance minister lied on the floor about. She said inflation does not exist.
But it appeared to be an afterthought, Mr. Chidambaram. Fair enough, no. Big issues. And I remember what I said, Tehseen, I think you're misquoting me slightly.
No, I do.
One second, Tehseen Poonawala, listen to me. I said that in the recent past. That's all. Of course.
And I admit. So can I just make one point?
One second, don't, no, hang on.
I'm not putting words in your mouth.
Yeah, don't misquote me. Secondly, let me make this. Okay, one second, Tehseen ji, 1 second. Second important point is this. If the cause is so big, a few spots of rain, I mean the Aam Aadmi that you're fighting for works. He has no choice. He works for this rain. But Mr. Chidambaram and company have a problem joining him in the street because थोड़ा बारिश हो गया है. I mean, it's too, you know, it's like a cat who doesn't want to get wet.
So I have a point to answer. I have a point to make, but I'll answer that specific charge of Chidambaram and those visuals. You see, so I spoke to Rajiv Shukla and everybody. That's outside Parliament where the car is supposed to come, and since the car was not there, they were wondering should they go in the rain or no. But I request you, ask the research team behind. Can I please make
what a statement it would make? You remember one election was swung. Now you yourself said this, Tehseen Poonawala. You yourself said that Sharad Pawar, listen to me, Sharad Pawar standing in the rain in
Yes,
Maharashtra
Yes.
swung the election away
Yes.
in 1
I
hour
agree.
from the
He
BJP. So tell me something. Tell me something.
Sir, I want
Are
to
your
attend, but
leaders
just
too
allow
elite
me.
to stand in the rain?
No, sir. Sir, I was answering that. You just interrupted me. Just let me, give me 1 minute
Take 3
and I'll be
minutes.
done, sir. No, I'll only take 1 minute. 2 very quick points. Please do not believe me. Ask your research team from behind to put out the visuals of the same three gentlemen, Chidambaram, Karti Chidambaram, Rajiv Shukla and Shashi Tharoor walking in the rains. It was a prior discussion on how to go, and I think that's normal. Okay. There's nothing wrong. But I just want to end with one point, and I will end. I'm going to say a couplet. It's from Sahil Ludhianvi. It's very important for the BJP to understand, and it'll summarize the situation. चाहते शौहरते इज्जते उल्फते सब कुछ इस दुनिया में रहता नहीं मिस्टर मालविया चाहते शौहरते इज्जते उल्फते सब कुछ इस दुनिया में रहता नहीं आज भाजपा है जहां कल कोई और था ये भी एक दौर है वो भी एक दौर था घमंड रावण का भी नहीं टिका था ये आपका जो घमंड है आपने श्रीमती प्रियंका गांधी वाड्रा को जमीन पे खींचा उनका बाल खींच रहे हो आप उनका हाथ मोड़ रहे हो ये घमंड नहीं टिकेगा घमंड रावण का भी नहीं टिका आपका क्या टिकेगा साहब आपका क्या टिकेगा
Okay, Tehseen, just coming back to the point, viewers. Now, this is very important. Once that video went viral of Chidambaram and company behaving like wet cats, not wanting to go out in the rain, the backlash was so severe that they actually had to then abandon course and venture out. So one has to understand the chronology of what actually transpired. But the mask seems to have fallen. Amit Malviya, why today is the BJP saying that the Congress is eroding its own credibility by defending the first family? Why are you today saying that this is a sham?
Well, Rahul, it's a sham because of several reasons. Most importantly, this protest that was organized today really had no context. Similarly, last year, a protest on the same day was organized, and that too was out of the blues. Clearly, the Congress wishes to send out a signal to its constituency that they would oppose or hit the streets in the name of protest on the day when Ram Janma Bhoomi Shilanyas happened, when Article 370 was abrogated. That is the primary reason why this protest has been organized. Secondly, it was not done because they have suddenly discovered their love for the people of this country. It has happened because the Gandhis, namely Sonia and Rahul Gandhi, have been called by the Enforcement Directorate for investigation in the massive National Herald scam. And the news is tightening, and therefore they are on the streets trying to play victim so that they can somehow save the image of the Gandhis. But it's unlikely to happen because there is huge evidence of wrongdoing, corruption, impropriety, fraud in this particular case. And the Gandhis will have to be made accountable. They will face law and eventually go to the jail.
Okay, so you're saying these are all diversion tactics. You're saying these are all diversion tactics.
Not recognizing and doing all this tamasha and drama.
No, but the Congress turns around and says that they are being witch hunted. No, hang on, Mr. Malviya.
The Congress is about saving their last destitute of leadership.
Okay,
that
hang
is
on,
exactly what is
Mr.
happening
Malviya,
here. And denying
can you hear me?
lose the right to celebrate the Shilanyas that happened 2 years ago of a problem that has been around for over 500 years.
Okay, 1 second. Mr. Malviya, you just heard Tehseen Poonawala, and what did he say? He says that this is a crackdown of sorts against anyone who speaks up for the public interest against the Modi government. You set upon them the Enforcement Directorate, etc. A quick answer to this, Mr. Malviya. This is what they're saying. Can you hear me? Mr. Malviya, quick response to this. Do we have you? I think we might have lost Mr. Malviya.
Can I make a point?
Yeah.
Yes. I didn't hear you, Rahul. Can you repeat it?
Yeah, it's very simple. The Congress maintains that you have set the ED upon the leadership. You are out to wipe out the leadership because the leadership remains the biggest voice or point of resistance to the NDA in this country.
Rahul, I'm glad you asked this question. Let me set the record straight once and for all. This matter was highlighted in 2012 and an FIR registered in 2013. And the courts looked at the matter at that stage when the UPA was in power. And since then, the matter has been under investigation. Every investigation, whether it is the Gandhis in the National Herald case or Partha Chatterjee, Mamta Banerjee and other TMC leaders in the SSC scam, or Nawab Malik or Anil Deshmukh of the NCP in Maharashtra, or Satyendra Jain of the Aam Aadmi Party, and hopefully Sisodia very soon, all of these have been initiated at the behest of judicial review and court finding instances of wrongdoing and having asked investigating agencies to probe the matter further. It is not the government's task to ask agencies to go and investigate. Please, let's understand this.
Okay,
so
not
if
the government's
opposition
job.
is blaming the ED, then are they also blaming the courts?
Okay, George Kurian.
That's the problem. I mean, they have to believe in some institution of this country.
Okay, George Kurian, I want to ask you a simple question. If you believe the Enforcement Directorate is being misused by the NDA, then will you oppose the Enforcement Directorate's case against Satyendra Jain, who is a minister in the Kejriwal government? Will you stop calling for his resignation? Will you say that he must not step down now from his post because the ED is also going after him, if I were to apply your logic, at the behest of the NDA? George Kurian.
The Enforcement Directorate today is doing selective targeting. We have to all understand. I'm not against the Enforcement Directorate. If they have merit of the case and they are confident, they have all the required documents that can make a case. Why not? But why selective targeting? That is a big point. Because one has to understand, it's not that BJP ministers from the BJP don't have any corruption charges against them, which has not come in the public domain in the past. That is not the case. So, for Enforcement Directorate to gain the confidence of the people, today the common man believes that Enforcement Directorate is self-targeting the operation leaders, because the government, the NDA government, they don't want to, give space to the opposition because they're countering them with charges of inflation, falling rupee, unemployment, rising fuel prices, rising prices of commodities, GST, things like that. So this is nothing but a diversion tactics, maybe communal harmony and Enforcement Directorate. This is nothing. They're playing a diversion tactics because to cover up their failures. They are insecure today, the Bharatiya Janata Party, is what I would say.
Mr. Kurian, let me come and ask you this question. And this is very important. And this is a question that you might find a little difficult to answer. You're saying today that the ED is doing the dirty work of the government, going after legitimate political opponents selectively. Now, if you remember, when the UPA was in power, the Supreme Court said that the CBI was a caged parrot, that it was also acting at the behest of your government. Then would you concede that the Congress had used the CBI to launch a witch hunt against Amit Shah in Gujarat? Simple question.
Well, I don't think so, because when UPA was in power,
right,
the institutions were free and they were free to work. There was no interference at all.
Oh, I see. There was no interference, was there?
Absolutely no.
So why was the Supreme Court then calling the CBI a caged parrot? Was the Supreme Court off its head or something?
Supreme Court would have their own viewpoints.
But it doesn't mean that it was an indictment. It has its own, it only gives views which are not formed on fact, Mr. Kurian. I think even Tehseen Poonawala is finding this logic slightly perplexing, and I'm only putting it politely. I think he's really laughing at you. So I'm asking you, sir, when the CBI was caged by the Supreme Court or accused of being caged by the UPA, then the Supreme Court was just expounding a view, and that CBI was acting very, very well against Amit Shah out of a sense of a clean conscience. How do you make this distinction, Mr. Kurian?
Rahul, you have to understand one thing.
Right.
Today when Rahul spoke to the press, he did mention that we had given the freedom to all the institutions. Supreme Court, being an independent body, had its own observations the same way. So there was no interference at all. And it had all the liberty to express themselves.
Now, Mr. Kurian, this is a difficult one. This is very, very difficult. So let me now tell you. This is what the Congress said about Satyendra Jain following ED raids on him, and I'm quoting April 6, 2022, and I'm quoting the Delhi Pradesh Congress Committee Chief Chaudhry Anil Kumar, and this is what he said. The Aam Aadmi Party chief has repeatedly claimed that it is the most honest party and that it will take the strictest action against those who have been found to have indulged in corruption. However, when it comes to their own minister, they turn a blind eye. Why is Satyendra Jain still in the cabinet when the ED has attached the property of his relative? Now, sir, why is Sonia Gandhi still the president when the ED has attached her principal asset? Same question, same issue. George Kurian.
Sonia Gandhi ji and Rahul have fully adhered to all the enforcement directorate summons, all the questioning that has happened.
Now listen, here again, viewers, two different yardsticks being applied by the Congress party. Abhijit Iyer Mitra wants to weigh in. I'm going to bring him in. Just for the record, 1 second, sir. Mr. Poonawala, 1 second. And you can respond to me. I'm just quoting something. It's very important. And we are talking about the Tulsiram Prajapati case and the Shorabuddin case. These are alleged fake encounters. What the special CBI court said in December 2014 when discharging Amit Shah in these cases, quote, I found substance in the main contention made by the applicant, Mr. Shah, that he was involved in the case by the CBI for political reasons, unquote, Special CBI Judge M.B. Gosavi.
Ji.
Tehseen Poonawala.
May I respond to that?
आप जब चलाएं CBI को केज करके किसी के खिलाफ तो वो जस्टिस है.
May I respond to that?
आज की डेट में वो अत्याचार है. ये कैसे हो गया? Poonawala साहब.
I'll respond to that precisely on that case, and I want to make another point. One, Mr. Kurian, I wasn't laughing at you. There was something else I was smiling at somebody else. Not about. But let me make two very pertinent points. In the Tulsi Prajapati case, the SIT that was investigating Mr. Modi, the head of that, of the Shorabuddin case, Shri Satyapal Singh ji, today is the minister in the Modi government. And Mr. Amit Shah ji, when he got a clean chit in the honorable courts, the judge went on to become a governor. You may think that's fair. That's fair. I'm not getting into the merits or demerits of that. There is another point that I want to make, which is extremely crucial. I am not going to deny that the Congress misused agencies. Of course it misused agencies. How can I sit here and deny it? But Mr. Modi...
But not against Mr. Amit Shah. Not against Mr. Modi. Those were exceptions. They were actually guilty.
I've got your question. I'm replying to it. I've understood your question. Now, Mr. Modi promised the people of India, including you, Rahul ji, including Iyer Mitra, including Karan Verma ji, that 2014 he's creating a new India. Modi ji can't get in new India like Purana Bharat.
So then tell me something. Why has Mamata Banerjee decided to sack? 1 second, then let's go point by point. The ED has gone after, in your words, opposition leaders. So who have they gone after? Partha Chatterjee, listen to me. Look, there is no doubt that there has been selective action, and I can endorse that, and I say it very openly. But let's at least look at, so let's look at who the opposition is targeted and what has become on them. Let's look at the 5 or 4 top leaders. Home Minister of Maharashtra, former Mr. Deshmukh, he has got no relief from the courts.
Right.
The IT had called upon the Gandhis to answer certain questions. The courts have given them no relief. The Gandhis moved to quash these cases. All these probes, the court has disagreed, sent you back to the trial court.
That's not true.
1 second.
That's not true.
No, sir.
That's not true,
Let
sir.
me finish. Let me finish. Partha Chatterjee comes out, says, I'm innocent, blah, blah, blah. His own party boss says, you are not fit to be my minister. Satyendra Jain, the court says, prima facie, there is evidence, prosecutable evidence against Satyendra Jain. You come out and say Satyendra Jain should also quit. So the ED suddenly becomes okay, kosher, very upright in these cases, but somehow develops a jaundiced view of the Gandhis. How does this work? And let me also tell you, viewers, the Gandhis come out and say that, oh, you know, we are fighting the issue of price rise. Okay. Now let me tell you, viewers, and I'll take you back in time a little bit. In April 2022, the centre cuts duties on fuel. But opposition ruled Maharashtra, Bengal, Telangana, Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Jharkhand did not reduce tax on petrol. Now, if they were so concerned about our welfare, they would have done so. Rahul Gandhi, in fact, would have gone and done a dharna in Mumbai against his own government there. The Aghadi government didn't do it. Abhijit Iyer Mitra, what's going on here?
You didn't allow me to answer the ED question.
I don't.
Okay, answer it. Answer it very quickly, sir. I'll bring in Mr. Iyer Mitra. Yes.
Sorry,
yeah.
Abhijit, I sorry for taking your time.
Yeah.
No worries, go ahead.
Go ahead, yes, I am saying this on record. There does not, you keep saying that why don't the Gandhis quash the case? The BJP, there is no case filed. There was one case filed in an independent judiciary when the Congress was there. That case has been shut, as says Subramaniam Swamy to you, Rahul Shivashankar.
Sir, I said the probes. You wanted the probes quashed. Did you not want the probe quashed? Am I misleading? You have not got relief. The probe is going on because prima facie there is obviously a case to be answered for.
Income tax is not criminal.
Now, you know, now you can't, you know, constantly.
Number.
Sir.
Ask them.
Sir.
Tell them to do a fact check.
Sir. Sir, did you not know? Can I ask you a question?
Nothing.
Okay.
Yes, sir, they are trying to divert the attention of the citizens from price rise. That's it.
Abhijit Iyer Mitra, I will quote what the trial court has said about this issue.
In an income tax
I'll put out the graphic and I'll quote. I did it 2 days back, viewers. I'll bring out what the trial court has said point by point about the Herald case and the role of the family and young Indians. I will just do it. Give me 30 seconds. No, 1 second. 1 second.
I don't deny that.
But you don't deny, then what are we talking about? Anyhow, 1 second. Mr. Iyer Mitra, please go ahead.
So look, let's assume that everything that Tehseen said is correct. The opposition here is to the case even being investigated. Why are you against an investigation? See, conviction is a different thing. There were accusations made against Modi for Godhra and whatnot. The cases went on for 15, 20 years, God knows how long. And he acquitted himself in court fighting. Did you see any BJP worker come out on the street? In fact, you can say that it was the Congress's misuse of agencies and the cases against him that in a way led to a sympathy wave and made him Prime Minister. Now, Narendra Modi, if you claim he is misusing the ED, he is giving you a favor. He is giving you the tools to create a sympathy wave for yourself. And remember, the BJP never went out to protest anything that happened to Narendra Modi during the investigation or Amit Shah during the investigation. Now you are protesting when there is price rise and God knows what not else. It seems a bit dissociative. It seems that the Congress isn't interested in the common man and it is more interested in one family. I don't see a better political platform than for the Gandhis to acquit themselves in the Supreme Court, High Court, whatever. They should be welcoming
the probe. So they can claim absolute vindication, just like the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister has done once he was given relief in the Gujarat riots cases by the Supreme Court. What better? What better way?
Rahul, there is no arrest being made. It is just an investigation.
Investigation, exactly. And let me just quickly tell you, viewers, what the trial court said, and I want to bring in Karan Verma also. It said there was no provision in law for the grant of an interest-free loan by a political party, the Congress, for a commercial purpose to a public limited company like AJL. This, viewers, was said categorically, the trial court. There was prima facie criminal breach of trust by the accused on the existing shareholders of AJL and against the company. Who were these shareholders, viewers, of AJL? They were freedom fighters, good Samaritans, people of eminence. Public funds of the Congress party were diverted for a commercial purpose by the accused. The accused, not the victims. The accused, Karan Verma, yet the Gandhis call themselves victims. The question that should be asked really is that you go and ask questions of every other Neta on earth. What locus standi do you have to be crying vendetta when the CBI court that discharged Shah in the Sharabuddin case said that he was the target for political reasons? Mr. Verma, do you think this is hypocritical, or am I being hypocritical?
Look, yeah. Oh, it's hypocrisy of the highest order by the Congress. Look, Rahul, there's a reason why the Congress is reduced to the political margins that it has reduced to, and why BJP has been in a pole position. They have not only won in the courts of people, but if you look at the history in the courts of law, BJP has always been absolved of any sorts of allegations, and they've come out on top. Whether it was reprimanding Tista Sitalwad, whether it was 2002, or whether it was the unconditional apology that Rahul Gandhi had to give for his careless remark of Chaukidar Chor hai. He had to apologize for that. Now today, here, let's leave aside what you and I are saying. What are the courts saying? The Metropolitan Magistrate said that the Young Indian Limited is a sham of an entity that is being used to convert public money to private use. The Income Tax Appellate Tribunal has given scathing remarks, scathing indictments to the Gandhis, and said that the motives of the assessee look uncertain. And look, the Gandhis have exhausted all their options. They tried their best to halt the income tax assessment of the 2011-12. They could not do that, and 100 crore notice was slapped on them. They tried to halt the ED probe. They could not do that. The Supreme Court, in fact, empowered the ED on 27th July. The fact is the Gandhis are on a loose wicket, be it in the courts of people or the courts of law, and it is their frustration which is spilling over. They are trying to cloak it with price rise and unemployment, but the cloak is as poor as Young India Limited is, because it's a sham and it's a rot at its core.
Sir, may I respond?
Well, also, 1 second, viewers. Now, Tehseen Poonawala, let me just read. What are the sections that the Gandhis...
120B, 420, 120B.
No, let me read them out. Let me read them out. Let me read them out, sir, since you might have short-term memory loss. Let me refresh your memory. Or maybe you did then. I don't know why you were... No, then why were you burying these facts? Let me bring them out, viewers. On bail, section 403, dishonest misappropriation of property. 406, criminal breach of trust. 420, cheating. Read with 120B, criminal conspiracy of the Indian Public Penal Code, rather.
Correct.
They're out on bail in this case. The case has not been quashed. They got bail in 2015. The Delhi High Court in 2015 and the Supreme Court in 2016 allowed the trial to proceed, did not quash the case.
Correct.
Tehseen Poonawala, why are you misleading the country?
You've answered my question. You've exactly answered my question. Therefore, please allow me to finish. Therefore, the matter in this particular case, which is a criminal breach of trust as per the CBI agency, is already in trial. ED has no role to play. For ED to take cognizance of this, there has to be an
Amit
FIR.
Malviya.
Where is the FIR?
Respond.
And by themselves, one more thing, just one more line. These sections I quoted to you as well.
I'm sorry.
They're not scheduled.
An FIR is not mandatory for ED to take cognizance.
I am sorry, you don't understand the rules. An FIR is not mandatory. In ECIR is for an investigation. For prosecution, FIR is mandatory.
Okay, one second.
Please read the judgment.
Amit Malviya.
And by themselves, these are not scheduled
Gentlemen,
offenses.
1 second. Amit Malviya comes in, takes on Tehseen Poonawala on a fact. Yes, go ahead. Go ahead, sir.
Look, Rahul, I mean, it's all great to come on a television studio and defend the Gandhis. Why don't they just go to the court and make the same argument with the kind of passion they make them night after night after night? Because the courts don't seem to be convinced. the courts have evidences and facts to the contrary, and they believe that there is ample evidence of wrongdoing, corruption, fraud, and what you will. So the truth of the matter is that the ED is doing a job that has been tasked to it by the courts of this country. And no, you don't need a specific FIR for any agency to investigate. If there is a matter that is sub judice, the court is looking into it and has asked for an investigation, the ED is well within its right to go and investigate.
Says, go to court. Tehseen Poonawala, very quickly. Tehseen Poonawala, let me ask you this question on the back of what Mr. Malviya has been saying. Okay, this is what Mr. Malviya is saying, go to court. Now let me ask you.
Yeah.
Let me ask you. ED has already attached the immovable property located at Panchkula. Fact? Is it a fact? Yes or no?
Yes, yes.
If this is a fake case taken to a absolutely obtuse length and property has been attached, why has the Congress not contested this attachment?
Because there is no FIR file. On what basis I go to court? The
But therefore, you would go to court, would you not?
They're only investigating.
You would go to court. You would go to court and say that there is no reason why my... Sir, is the Congress... No, one second. Is the Congress being very generous? No, 1 second. Is the Congress being very generous? Let the ED attach all our properties. Then why aren't they going to court?
Okay, so let me again explain to you. When ED attaches, not like it's taken the property to Nagpur. The property
is this making sense, viewers? Is this making sense?
That's fine.
Okay, let's open this up further. Let me bring in Mr. Kurian. Mr. Kurian, is this making sense? The ED, without an FIR, without any cause, attaches a property. Would the person entrusted with the safekeeping of the property or the owner of the property not say, hey, what the hell? What are you doing? I'm moving court. I want my property back. Would you not do that, Mr. Kurian?
Well, I believe Sonia Gandhi ji and Rahul are confident there is no merit to this case.
I'm asking you a specific question. Why aren't they wanting their property back?
I'm sorry?
Why aren't they wanting their property back? It's a simple question. Panchkula property attached by the ED. If it's also unfair, the first thing they should do is move court and say, give us our property back. It doesn't belong to anybody else except for the Congress party, young Indians, and therefore, because it's a public interest, company, it belongs really to the public. You are fighting on the streets for the public, but not interested in getting their property back. Why?
Well, the Congress has their legal team, and I'm confident they will look.
What are they waiting for? The property was attached a long time back. What is the legal team doing? You see, viewers, on every point there is an issue. The ED investigations are taking place in consonance with the original scheduled offence, which are the IPC sections that I have just enumerated for you. It is a prerogative of the ED, therefore, to investigate further if there has been criminal conspiracy, and let me read out. If there has been a dishonest misappropriation of property, criminal breach of trust, cheating, criminal conspiracy, the case has not been quashed. An appropriate agency is now looking into this issue. What is wrong with that? The FIR is the original FIR on the basis of which the charges have been framed. The case has not been quashed. Well, viewers, we don't have answers, we have smiles. I will also smile. I will also smile. I will also smile. And I will say, for the moment, viewers, for the moment, the Congress party is looking extremely sheepish. Its leaders don't want to go out because it's raining. One of their leaders come out and say, not the public, we're here to fight for our netas, for our two leaders, the family, yes. These are the senior most leaders of the Congress party. Maybe even the party really knows that there is a liability now. And it's becoming difficult to take the liability along. Viewers, I leave it at this.